Hey players, so I watched this documentary on ID called Quiet on the Set. It is about the dark side of kids TV. They are specifically focusing on Nickelodeon and Dan Snyder. Baby, y'all got to grab your tea and have a seat. Let's get into this. So it's a 4-part docuseries, and it's specifically focused on Nickelodeon and the shows that were created by Dan Snyder. He's responsible for shows like All That, Zoe 101, Carly, the Amanda Show with Amanda Bynes, shows like that. Basically, that whole bracket of shows that wasn't cartoon based. Dan Snyder is responsible for that whole deal there in the 90s and 2000s. So it basically goes through the timeline of how Dan Snyder ran a very horrible work environment, not only for the female writers that he had, but also for the staff and the child stars. Some of these stars come on and they talk about how they were afraid of Dan Snyder. Some of the things that he would have them doing as a part of the shows was very sexually suggestive, and it should not have been a part of these shows. And I'm gonna keep it a stack with you. When I'm looking at some of these scenes, it is very uncomfortable, and you're wondering, like, is this really a child show, or who is this supposed to be marketed towards? Because it's very, very disgusting the way it was done. A lot of stuff dealing with feet and squirting things in these kids' faces, and it was just really, really sad to watch, and how they recounted these stories. I'm going to suggest that you watch it for yourself if you want to see, firsthand what they were saying. Some of them even talked about Amanda Bynes and how they felt Amanda had a very unhealthy relationship with Dan Snyder, so much so that at one point she wanted to become emancipated from her parents, and Dan Snyder was actually helping her with that behind the scenes. Now, it did not go through, but some people felt like she was very close to him, and it was very sus. Of course, Amanda was not a part of this documentary. However, we can see what Amanda has went through in recent years and only speculate what is the reasoning behind that. We also heard from them how they felt Nickelodeon did not foster a healthy work environment for them, so much so that predators were allowed to work there. There was one that was actually a registered offender. However, he somehow got through and was able to be a part of the set, and he allegedly brought a child to the studio and abused him there and was convicted on that. We also got to hear from Drake Bell, who was a star on one of the most popular shows on Nickelodeon called Drake and Josh. He talked about, for the first time in public, how he was the John Doe in a criminal case that involved a guy by the name of Brian Peck. He actually worked on the set as a dialogue coach. He stated that Brian Peck manipulated him so much so that he removed his father as a manager, and then once his father was removed as a manager, it was open season for Brian Peck to take advantage of him, in which he did very horribly. Finally, after a long time of suffering at the hands of this guy, his girlfriend's mother figured out that something was going on, and they were able to discover that he was being taken advantage of by Brian Peck. Brian Peck was ultimately arrested and charged with crimes related to the abuse of Drake Bell, in which he was sentenced to 16 months. Now, it's very important to note that he was sentenced to 16 months, but there was 41 letters that was written by different some were actresses and actors and people in the business in support of him. And also, after he was convicted of taking advantage of Drake Bell in the worst way, he actually worked for Disney after that. Now, Dan Snyder and Nickelodeon parted ways with each other in 2018 in the height of the Me Too movement. Now, this is after several investigations into Dan Snyder were conducted. They stated that he was responsible for a hostile and toxic work environment. Now, finally, they did part ways with him in 2018 after they received more complaints that he was making people massage him and stuff like that. So according to this docuseries, he was paid a $7 million settlement, and he has not worked in show business since. Now, he did respond to these allegations in a 20-minute interview. I shared it on my Twitter. He basically stated that he has learned a lot of things over the years, and he is sorry to anybody that he has ever offended with the way he was. He claims that he has learned a lot since then. All right, players, I want you guys to put your thoughts in the comments. For me, this documentary was just devastating, and it also solidifies what a lot of us already know about some of these child stars that were not protected, and they end up, you know, going down the wrong path. It's because child stardom is not at all what it may appear to be to everybody else. There's a lot of stuff that goes on there that definitely shouldn't be going on, and this docuseries is proof of that. All right, players, put your thoughts in the comments. This is Double D Mo for the Black Accurate News.